find opportunities where you can get more adept at using AI automation. It's not going anywhere. I promise you, it is not going anywhere, but it's only as strong as the individuals that are providing its inputs. So the more that you learn it and understand it, the more that you can use it in your personal life, in your professional career. So definitely be curious, ask questions, take trainings, find opportunities to leverage AI and automation in your personal life. Find
Hello, my fellow humans, and welcome to the Multiverse Technology Podcast. Today, we have Mike Morgan back again. We'll be exploring the impact of AI and automation on the future of work.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me back, Justin.
Well,
Sounds
welcome
good.
back, Mike. Sorry for that technical glitch. If you could share with the audience a bit about your background and projects you're currently working on in the world of AI and automation.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a pretty diverse background. I've worked a few different industries, different companies. So I've worked for JP Morgan Chase in Delaware, did investment banking, private banking, corporate technology and risk. I've worked for Chevron in Houston, Texas, doing a multitude of procurement, supply chain roles. I've worked for Amazon in Seattle, worked for Amazon Business, Amazon Web Services, and on the retail side, doing program management and vendor management. I've worked for Walmart in the Bay Area, doing program management for their e-commerce space. And today I'm working for Netscope, a startup in cybersecurity, doing a mix of program management and strategy. And AI automation has been critical in all my roles across all different companies. A big thing that every company is trying to focus on is process improvement. If it if it takes an individual or a team 5 weeks to complete a task, how can we get it done in 1 week? How can we get it done in a couple of days? How can we get it done in a couple hours? How do we
Impossible.
reduce it's nothing is impossible. Um, it's interesting how much manual work is being done at a lot of different companies. And it's very, one is time extensive. And then two, there's opportunities for human error. If you have an individual manually typing something into a system or a spreadsheet or doing a task that can be automated, they're like, if once you automate it, you're ensuring that it's done the correct way every single time. If a human's doing it, they can hit a wrong button or do something by mistake. Even as an example, I'm sure you might have seen this. When I used to work at Amazon, there were a lot of pricing errors. Sometimes on the retail side, something that should be priced at $99, someone may accidentally type in $9.99.
I'll buy
And
all of
now
them.
exactly, and now we have all these customers flooding the website that are ready to buy a product because they see it's 90% off. So now they're excited. Well, if we had automation that could set it up properly, this probably wouldn't have happened. But because you had a human manually type the price in, they made a mistake and it cost the company thousands of dollars in the matter of seconds, minutes. So you want to move towards automation as much as possible, and just improve processes. That's the goal. Everything that I've been working on from an operation supply chain standpoint, how do we do things more efficiently? How do we reduce time? How do we reduce waste? How do we reduce cost? And that's what automation and AI can really come in and help.
Dude, I love how you brought up that thing about Amazon. I have heard some of that stuff on the news sometimes. People accidentally pricing things. I mean, when something like that happens to a big company, people kind of bat an eyelash. But when they don't realize that's happening to all companies, big or small, like why wouldn't you want to automate your stuff? Why wouldn't you want to make it easier? And that kind of leads me into my question: what about people automating themselves out of a job? 'Cause so many people fear that.
So, in, in my opinion, I think that's the wrong approach and the wrong mindset to have. I've worked with people that want to maintain their intellectual capital. They don't want to document their processes. They don't want to figure out how to automate things, how to do things better, because they have this mindset that, hey, if I do this, I won't have a job. Ultimately, what leadership sees is that you don't have a strategic way of thinking. Like you came in, this is how the process was when you came in, and all you're doing is maintaining the ship. You're not making things better. They gave you a standard operating procedure. This is how things are. This is how things have been done. You've been working there for 2, 3, 5 years, and the process is exact same way. You're not improving anything. You're not making things better. At that point, a leader wants to bring in somebody who's going to drive things forward, make things better. Like I like to use a lot of examples at Amazon. Amazon's always bringing in people to raise the bar. We're trying to hire people that are not on the same level of the employees that are already at Amazon. We're trying to bring in somebody new that can raise the bar and make things better. So if you have this mindset where I just want to maintain the status quo, I don't want to improve things because that may automate myself out of a job, that's giving companies more incentive to bring somebody new in with fresh eyes
Mhm.
and fresh ideas who are willing to make the improvements and are willing to change things. And what I've seen throughout my career, as I said, I've been big on process improvements. I've worked on a lot of automation. I've worked on AI. When I fix one problem, if I do a good job, there are other problems to solve. So it's not as though I fix one problem and now the company says, "Hey, we don't need you anymore. You fixed this problem. We're going to let you go." They're so impressed with what I did to automate one process. They put me on another project so I can automate that area as well. So it gives me credibility. It gives me like different uh deliverables I can add on my resume, different tasks I can talk about during interviews, and it gives me uh support for why I should get promoted, why I should be compensated, as opposed to just saying, "Hey, I you gave me this standard operating procedure and I did my job." It's like, no, not only did I do my job, I improved how to do the process and I made it better for everybody moving forward.
I love that strategic thinking. That's a really good reframe there. And I've actually been victim of this myself for the past jobs, but also from what you're saying, it was partially my fault too. For like I got things automated for a company, and then oh well, we fixed this. We don't need you anymore. They got rid of me. But at the same time on that, I wasn't doing anything else to help them after that. I'm like, well, we fixed this problem. Now what? Now what do? I didn't have that strategic mindset of thinking, what else can I do for you? I think that you said they saw that. That when you fix this, we don't need you, but we need someone. Someone who's going to have that mindset. Someone's going to actually help them move the needle forward, not just take the processes and do their job and go home. I feel that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's to me that's a game changer. So like I said, I've worked at a lot of companies and when I speak with leaders, leaders don't want to have to identify problems and delegate to their team, "Oh, you should work on this project, you should work on this project." If I can
Just
come in
do
and
it.
if I can identify problems on my own and not just identify them, but come up with solutions. Because if I just identify a problem and go to leadership and say, "Hey, this is a problem," like that doesn't do, you're just adding more work on their plate. You're pointing something out, but you're not giving a path forward. If I go to leadership, identify a problem that they didn't see, and I provide them with multiple options on how to remediate that problem. This is the issue. This is the impact. We can go with solution A. We can go with solution B. We can go with solution C. I recommend going with solution A for these reasons. And these are the steps that I can take in order to fix this if you're willing to give me the go forward decision to move forward. Now that manager is excited. Like, not only did you identify an issue that I wasn't aware about, but you already have an action plan on how to fix it. So now I'm just letting you
I
roll with it, and now that's going to differentiate you from all your peers and colleagues.
Oh, that was really powerful. I look back and I'm using myself as an example here because I've been the victim of all this. I've done all these things wrong in the past. And I feel that when you just bring stuff to a manager, like, here's the problem. Now what we do? They just look at you like, okay, what's wrong with you? Where's the solution here? Like, okay, hello. I'm like, what do you mean? Here's the problem. I didn't know for a while how to really retrain my mind to actually bring a solution as well. I didn't understand that I could be part of the problem and part of the solution. You know, a lot of us go through these jobs and we're just like, okay, I got this done. I followed it correctly. But little do people understand, people want to hire strategic business partners that can help them really figure out things and work autonomously on their own. And if you can't do it, they're going to find someone or something that can do it for them and get them where they need to go. Which leads me into our next thing about the AI and automation. So, what are some good ways that, say if I'm a guy out there working for a company and I want to be able to help my company grow, I want to lead them to the next level and be the person they come to. Or maybe some places I can start with AI automation to kind of get them going. It's not going to put too much on my plate, but really showcase my skills that I can actually be an asset for them.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'd say for one, I'm really big on learning and development. So I recommend people take classes. There are a ton of different training courses out there. I know Google has a bunch of courses. There are things available on LinkedIn Learning, on Coursera, on Udemy. So on your own, I strongly recommend you take classes so that you can get more adept on how to use AI and automation to make process improvements. So I would say that's the first step. Second step, I would say this worked for me personally. I try to figure out ways to leverage AI and automation in my personal life outside of work so I can play around with things, get more comfortable. I think the first time I used ChatGPT was just planning vacation. Like, hey, I'm going to this place. This is my budget. These are the things that I like to do. Help me come up with an itinerary plan. So something simple outside of work, and I can play around with things with AI, with ChatGPT, automation, figure out how I can leverage it in my personal life. And because I'm playing around, like planning for vacation, there's no there's no negative repercussions. Like playing around with something like that. If
Bring
I'm
the
using
entire company down.
Exactly. If I'm leveraging AI for the first time with my company and something that is proprietary and something goes wrong, it may maybe look bad. So I'd rather play around with something that doesn't have any negative impact as I'm still figuring it out and getting used to it and getting accustomed to it. So I would definitely recommend whenever possible test things out in your personal life when there's not any negative consequence and you can just learn and get comfortable with the tool. It's one thing to take a training class. It's another thing to actually apply the training in real world scenarios.
True.
So I would definitely leverage that. Um, Before you start leveraging AI and automation at your job, make sure you're verifying what you can use. A lot of companies are leveraging AI, but there's some things that they may, as specific companies, they may not allow you to use. I
Not
know, like,
everything.
yeah. I know at Netscope, there's some AI tools that have been approved. There's some that haven't been approved. So make sure when you are using things and applying it, you're using what is approved by your company. Um, and then, like I said, you need to have a strategic mind. Find opportunities once you get comfortable with AI, with automation. You've taken the training courses. You've applied things in your personal life. Find problems within your company and try to figure out, all right, how can I leverage automation? Like, how can I make things better? Try to find things that are very manual. Like, it doesn't make sense. Uh, I'll give you an example with my current company. One of the tasks that I was doing, we're doing reboots of our virtual machines in all of our data centers globally. And before every reboot, I'm manually reaching out to people and letting them know, hey, we're going to do this reboot. It's going to impact your virtual machines. I just want to give you awareness and ask for your approval. And after every reboot, I'm reaching out to people manually and saying, "Hey, we just rebooted it. Can you do validation? This we want to make sure that your virtual machines haven't been negatively impacted." For me to do that every day for months, is that worth my time to manually look up a list of who owns every virtual machine for every reboot for every CAS node across every data center.
That gives
I
me a headache. No,
I
no, no.
exactly. At a certain point, I worked on automation where we automatically created a ticket. It automatically identified who owns what machines on the ticket. It automatically tags them in the ticket. So now they're aware and they could just go right in there and provide their approvals, provide their validations. So it's a very simple way to identify an opportunity to leverage automation, but make sure you're doing your due diligence. Look at the issues in your company. Identify where there's a lot of manual work, a lot of processes that are taking a lot of time. Speak with the customers, internal customers and external customers. If you have customers that are frustrated and saying that a process is taking too long, hey, why is this taking 3 months? Hey, why is this taking 5 weeks? Start digging into that process. Look at the process end to end holistically and figure out, okay, is there anything that I can leverage automation to reduce this time? Do we need to have individuals take these steps? If we already have the steps documented end to end, can we leverage automation to execute these steps, or do we need a human to actually go in and execute these steps manually every single time? So make sure you have that strategic thinking hat on and figure out different opportunities within your company where you can leverage automation, you can leverage AI, and it will make a world of difference.
I love that. Got my brain going now thinking about how can I do this within my company too? People leverage AI in their company than using these tools. I noticed something that came up to me in another podcast. We're talking about policies because policies is a huge thing that may or may not allow you to do certain things in your company. I mean, so since AI is so new and a lot of companies have policies, but they don't enforce them like they should, what is your take on setting up policies for AI? And is that something they should do? Or should it just be the wild, wild west? Like just use everything.
Absolutely, you need policies. You need you need some way to regulate things. Um, it's it's interesting, and I've read a lot of articles about this. I've done research. I've seen a lot of people get in trouble at their companies because they treat it like the wild wild west. So, as an example, I know people that wanted to work on some type of report, like a profit and loss statement report, and trying to leverage automation, but then they copy and paste company proprietary confidential data into ChatGPT and ask it to put together in a statement. And yes, ChatGPT can provide a statement, but now you've just released company confidential information out to everybody. And now that person ends up losing their job. So you need policies. You need people need to be smart about how they're approaching things. Like even in that particular scenario, if someone wanted help building some type of analysis or a profit and loss statement, plug in some fake arbitrary numbers into ChatGPT, have ChatGPT build you a template, and once the template is built, now you can leverage that template, and now you can start putting in that information. But now that information staying within the company database is not just being sent out to everybody and anybody.
You get a copy. You get a copy. Everyone gets a copy. Like,
Exactly. And that's why companies need to put in certain policies. They need to put in structure. They need to protect themselves,
yeah.
because it can definitely negatively impact you. Like companies are already sharing information to the public, but if information gets out before like a quarterly statement, that that can definitely make or break a company when it comes to their
We have
stock price
IPO
and
coming up. Oh, we got released. Oh, too bad.
exactly. So definitely want to be smart about it. Same thing. A lot of companies have patents on some of their information, on some of their processes. So if you go into Chat GBT or automation, you put some proprietary information that the company owns, and now you're just sharing it with the world. That's going to get you in a lot of trouble. Uh,
Hackers are like, please, please do this. Please do this now. We need your information.
So yeah,
Right.
I definitely agree. I think there needs to be some structure, and companies need to put in these policies. Yes, automation AI is fantastic. It's great. I leverage it all the time. I recommend other people leverage it, but you need some level of structure, and that's where policy can really come into place.
Yeah, I've actually seen a lot of companies where they have policies, but then they don't train or enforce them. So it's like you have these policies of what to and not to do, but no one knows about them. No one knows what's on them, or they haven't revisited them in like 10 years, but they expect people to do certain things and certain guidelines. It's like you have to train them and show them also. You can't just like write a book and you have to follow this entire thing. Good luck. A lot of companies I feel do that sometimes. Like we need to communicate more as human beings with each other. Let us know how we want to work together, how we want to do these policies, how they come into play. I feel that's very important.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with that when it comes to trainings, and that's not just for automation AI. That's in a lot of different areas. I've been at companies. I don't think every company trains their employees on how to interview candidates and just throw them to the wolves, and then it could lead to a bad interview experience for candidates. And a lot of candidates that interview for companies are also customers, so if they have a bad interview experience, not only are you losing out potential talent to get into the company, you're potentially losing out on a customer that probably won't buy from your company moving forward. Same thing with management. A lot of companies will throw people into a people manager role, not give them like the proper trainings, and now they're managing someone else's career. You didn't properly train them, and now you're driving some of their direct reports out of the company. You're losing good talent because they're trying to figure it out on the fly. So the same way that you were talking about, we need to make sure we're having trainings for automation AI. I think companies need to think holistically about all the trainings that they should implement
Shut
for the
up,
companies.
man.
Like set people up for success. Don't just put together a document and send out an email and say, "Oh, go read this," and think that's going to help people move
You didn't
forward.
get the email? Well, that's too bad. You're fired. What the?
I mean, I want to speak to like most people I speak to, their inbox probably has a couple hundred emails in there. So if all a company is doing is sending out a blast email like, "Oh, here's a document, go read this," like that's that's not
Expect you
going
to be
to
there.
cut it.
Right, I see that a lot, unfortunately, and it's a very interesting world that we've been living in. Now the AI automation comes along, we haven't figured out the part with the policy and training or other parts of our business, but now AI automation is being coming to us like the internet came, and we don't know what to do. We're not sure how to handle it. That kind of leads me to my next part of this of understanding that because people are putting information into their AI doesn't mean they're necessarily getting the right information out. So, what kind of training do you think they may need to understand the biases and the hallucinations that may happen within the AI and automations?
Yeah, absolutely. So people have to understand AI is only as good as its inputs. So if if you're leveraging AI and the only people that have put in inputs are males, as an example, or people who identify as males, then if a woman were to go to use AI and get a response to their answer, they're going to look at it like this doesn't make any sense. Like who put this together? Well, if 99% of people who put the inputs into it from a male perspective, it's going to be biased. The same way if if let's say there's a scenario where people who are Caucasian, if they're 90% of Caucasians have put something in AI, and now someone who like myself who's black goes into AI and tries to figure out an answer, and I look at him like, oh, that that doesn't make any sense. Well, yeah,
I feel like
it's
we have that same issue with human beings right now, let alone AI, you know?
yeah. Um, so that's those can lead to biases. So that's where I'm a big proponent of diversity. I love diversity, equity, inclusion, and making sure diversity of thought is huge in my opinion. Get people from different backgrounds, different races, different genders, different sexualities to all give their perspectives. Everyone has different experiences, different thought processes. So the more diverse we are and the more people from different backgrounds are using AI and putting in inputs, the better the output is going to be, because now AI is pulling in inputs from all different perspectives to get to the best possible decision. So that's where people have to really understand that there can be biases depending on what kind of questions you're asking and what inputs the the AI has been given. And obviously, over time, the more time, the better, the more we'll be able to remove these biases because more people are using it, more people are adding inputs. But make sure if you're using AI and automation, do your due diligence. Don't just type something into chat GBT and assume whatever comes out is the truth and just
Yeah,
like,
that was
oh yeah,
right.
yeah, and just hit copy and paste. Like that's not how things work. So make sure you do your research as well. Like I said, automation is fantastic, AI is fantastic, definitely leverage it. Don't just it's same thing. You like I hope people don't believe everything they see on TV. Don't think because you turned on the channel or the news that, hey, this is the truth because I saw it on TV. Like that's not
Talking to
always the
both of
case.
us, we don't know what the hell we're talking about. We're just two guys on the internet. What do we know?
Yeah.
It's a satire.
So yeah, definitely. You wanna make sure that you're doing your due diligence. Be aware biases can occur. So it's definitely important to do your own research as well.
I love that. I feel that too, because even in the world outside of AI, there's still a lot of misunderstandings as us as human beings. Like, for example, something I've learned recently from a lady I was talking to, that autism shows up in people of color and Caucasian people differently. I didn't know that. I even to ask AI that, but AI didn't know that either. I had to go outside of Google and really research and figure out what to ask the AI, but then everything came back a little weird and misconstrued. It. Just kind of one of those things. Like that's like more of a technical medical thing, but that's something that we're going to come across with AI too. We're not going to know what we don't know until we know. I was kind of blown away by that. Like autism shows up differently. What do you mean? And I was like, whoa.
No, exactly. I actually had a similar conversation with some of my friends, not specific on autism, but just specific on medicine. So, sometimes you go into the store and let's say you feel sick, you have a headache or a fever, but what works for me may not work for someone who's Hispanic, may not work for someone who's Asian, who's Indian, who's Caucasian. So, like medicine isn't one size fits all. Everybody reacts differently to different medicine. So that's where you kind of have to do your research and figure out, okay, what makes sense for me because as a black man, my body may react differently to something that may work for somebody else. But yeah, you have to do your research and your due diligence.
I keep trying to drive that point home to people that there is no one size fits all, and that we are human beings, and that we react to things differently, see things, feel them differently. And then AI is being made by humans for the most part right now. It's being made by human beings with human input. So therefore, there will be those fallacies and stuff that come out of it, unfortunately. Yeah. This kind of ties into like about ethical and legal concerns around AI. I know we touched some of this earlier about some of this, but more legal basis of like I guess sharing information. What information can be shared? Do we have the right to share it? Do we have to ask for permission? Like I guess it also depends on what industry you're in. So like I know like medical would be differently compared to like a construction place. So, in regards to that, what are some ethical and legal concerns you see around using AI for businesses and or maybe for personal as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's interesting. I had a conversation with one of my friends who's a professor at a university, and AI is fantastic, but now it's getting to the point where students will like a professor may assign a task, homework, assignment, project to their class, and students will essentially type something into AI get a response, copy and paste it, and submit it like it's their own work. And this is not a good way to use AI. So what he told me that he started to do, he's encouraging his students to use AI, but he's making sure cite your sources. What questions and what prompts did you put into the AI? What AI tools did you use? What research did you do to validate the response from AI? As long as you put all that information in and cite things properly and put your sources, now I can review what you submitted and I can give you feedback. Maybe you should have used this prompt. Maybe if you use this prompt, this would have helped you get something more concise, more concrete. Or maybe you should have used this source as a tool instead of using this AI tool. And they can help guide them at being better of using AI. But when you just use AI, don't source anything, and just take it as if it's your own, as if you wrote it, as if you did the research, that's
It was
where it
all
looks
me.
bad.
It was all me. All me.
Exactly. So from an ethical standpoint, it's fine to use AI. Make sure you're letting people know that you're using AI. Make sure, like I said before, you're also doing your due diligence. Don't just copy and paste, assume that whatever you get as the output is correct. Make sure you're doing your research as well. Make sure you're
Test my
modifying.
work? What?
Yeah, exactly. Make sure you're modifying and customizing as needed. From a legal standpoint, like I said, speak with your company, determine what is approved and not approved that you can use. Make sure you're smart about what you're putting into these AI tools. If there's confidential data, information, proprietary information that you shouldn't be sharing with the world, definitely don't put it in there. You could put in dummy data and false information. The AI can help drive you in the right way, give you a template or some structure that you can leverage. And once you have the tool or the template that's already put together, now let me put in that confidential information that is going to stay within the company database and not get leaked out to the whole public. So you just have to be smart about how you do things from an ethical and legal perspective. And if you have questions, ask people. If you're in school, ask your professor. If you're at a company, ask your boss. Ask HR. Ask legal. Like they're there for a reason.
I've run across companies that don't have any kind of AI things in place, and you ask them questions, they're like, I don't know, I'm asking you. I'm like, are you asking me? It's happened a few times. I'm like, oh boy, here's the problem right here.
Eh,
Oh boy.
I mean, if they don't know, it highlights a problem, and you have to figure it out because like if you ask some a question like that to your HR, chances are you're not the only person with that question. So someone else is going to have that question, and this is going to be a reoccurring problem. So this highlights that there's a gap, and it's time for HR to try to figure out how to close that gap because that question will get asked again. So it's okay if they don't know. Like I said, I work at a startup. Everything is not set up perfectly. We're still trying to figure things out. That's how things work in startups. But
Yes.
if no one asks the question, like to your point earlier, it will turn into the wild wild west, and people just make assumptions and start doing things, and it can negatively impact the company and the organization. So don't be afraid to ask the questions, and if they don't have the answer, let's figure it out together.
I love that. I mean, we have to really work together and figure out a way that this is going to work for the company because the last thing any company wants is to see their data out there online by Sam or Karen putting it into AI, trying to figure things out. Be like, oh, it's okay. Don't worry about it. It's nothing completely personal. It's only like credit card information and social security numbers. No big deal. You know, the last thing you want to see online coming from your company. Eventually, people understand that can be traced back and they can find out who did it. It's a matter of forensics analysis, and they will find out. You don't want to be that person.
Yeah,
You
you
know,
you definitely don't want to
I
be
love
that
how you
person.
said ask questions. And like you said, if they don't know, well, then that's your turn to step up and be that person. Like you said, be the one that starts the program, be the one that starts the policies. That start. I actually had a friend. He did this with his company. He started with Power BI. And at first, I was like, "You're using automation, right? Not AI automation." But I realized he's never done this before. So he's starting somewhere. He's created this massive moving forward for his company, but he's actually going to other places in the company and trying to implement this. But at the same time, he's getting a lot of pushback. Like we were talking earlier, people are scared that, oh, this is gonna be automated, I'll have no job. But yeah, a lot of those people are taking 5, 6 weeks to do something that takes a day or two. So like, what's going on here? We need to learn how to automate and use it to help better our jobs so that people can do something else with their lives, not just sit there all day punching in numbers and wasting so much time, like we discussed earlier. There's really, how do you have those conversations with people, like even just in the company, not alone the CEOs or HR, but the people who are just scared and they push back to not automate themselves out of that job. How do you balance that? How does that start?
Yeah, I try to help them change their mindset. So I let them know if you're able to think outside the box and think creatively, solve problems, that makes you an asset. That makes you a stronger individual. I came into this role, I was given a process. It takes 5 weeks to get this process done. I was able to automate this into getting it done in 2 days. Companies are gonna love that. They're not going to say, "Oh, we need to eliminate this role and fire this person because they were able to automate this process by 98%." They're going to be like, "Oh, this person is a strong asset and we need them, and we're going to find other areas, other projects, other processes where they can do the same thing and implement the same automation." So when I explain to people and have that mindset, like this is not a good use of your time. Don't have this mindset where you're scared to lose your job. If you have a mindset where how can I make things better? How can I automate things? How can I make things more efficient? The company's going to see you as a strong player and they're going to want to keep you and they're going to find other areas to put you. That's probably going to help you get promoted and stay at the company longer because you had putting in automation as opposed to you just maintaining the status quo. Like anybody can just maintain the status quo. I can
Automate yourself into a better role.
exactly. I could I could hand an operating procedure to anybody and they could just follow it step by step for the next 5 years. The type of person that
Bueller,
can
Bueller, step one, enter your password. Bueller, like that's how I feel.
exactly. The type of
Sorry.
person that's going to move forward in the company and take a company to the next level is a person that's thinking outside the box and figuring out how to make things more efficient, how to automate things, how to reduce cycle time, how to reduce cost. Those are the game changers. So I feel like when I give that perspective to people, it helps change their mindset and be more willing to accept automation and be more interested in trying to do process improvements.
I love that. I know we kind of touched that a little bit earlier, but I wanted to come back to that because I feel that's a really important part of this process. Is changing their mindset, having them reframe it. Because they can't reframe anything and think about it differently, they're never going to get to the AI and automation part. They're just going to be running in circles and be too afraid. And I really love that. 'Cause, like, I've experienced that with a lot of people out there. It's a real threat to them for some reason. And I feel like once you get over, like you said, use that mindset as it's a tool to automate yourself into a better role, a better position. That will also trickle down into your personal life too. Because you'll not be so reactive. You'll just be like, okay, I can do it here. Why can't I do it over here as well? People can automate and put systems into their own lives also. They don't realize it. They can have like they have budgets they're doing each week. Or like we talked in another podcast about reaching out to people you talk to, having a spreadsheet. You can actually have all that stuff automated and put together and make your life a lot easier. You know, just like I love how the reframing and just really putting that picture together for everyone. I feel is so very important for this whole process before they start any AI automation.
Absolutely. Like I said, I completely agree. I tell people all the time to try to leverage AI automation in their personal lives. There's so many different aspects of your personal life that you can leverage it, and that's going to get you comfortable. That's going to give you opportunity to do trial and error without any repercussions. and then you can start implementing that in your job. And like, there's just a lot of scenarios. It's all about your perspective and how you look at things. But try to how can you work? I always hear this work smarter, not harder. So if I'm given a job and it takes me 40 hours to get the job done versus someone else can get the same job done in 20 hours, they're working smarter than me. Like, you don't need to waste all that time on that specific job. So, like, think about it. And they like companies have told me that for years. Like, there are people that struggle that are putting in 60, 80-hour work weeks. Like, you don't need to put in, yeah. And you don't need to put it on, and then they're feeling burnt out. It's like, well, did you try to do anything to automate this? Like, there's a reason that you're feeling overwhelmed. Have you tried to figure out how to leverage automation, how to leverage AI? Or are you just trying to be
I don't have
scrappy?
time. I don't have time. I have so much work to do.
So it's a game changer.
Jobs don't want seat warmers. They want people to actually push the business and help them succeed and excel in their lives as well. You
Yes,
know, people
exactly.
look at this as such a negative thing sometimes. So okay, if I sit here, I shut up, I do my work, I spend more time than it need to be done, then it looks like I'm busy, it looks like I'm working. But really that's giving your boss the opportunity to be like, this person wastes too much hours, how can we replace them? Like doing too little and too much, or doing too little and doing more, much more at the same time. It's a real thing. I know we're talking about AI and automation, but this really comes back to we're talking about the mindset and the person of trying to be a better human being within their job to want to do better and be better. And I feel this really goes on with technology. Because AI automation is a powerful thing and it's a great tool to use and to have in your life to get things done better. But all at the same time, you have to work on yourself to use it appropriately, correctly, ethically, and legally, like we discussed.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Is there anything you'd like to leave our audience with, and maybe some strategic things that help them improve their lives and using automation in their everyday and at work as well?
Like I said, the biggest thing for me, I'm big on learning, being curious, learning and development. Find opportunities where you can get more adept at using AI automation. It's not going anywhere. I promise you, it is not going anywhere. Uh, but it's only as strong as the individuals that are providing its inputs. So the more that you learn it and understand it, the more that you can use it in your personal life, in your professional career. So definitely be curious, ask questions, take trainings, find opportunities to leverage AI and automation in your personal life. Find opportunities to leverage it within your professional career. Ask questions. Make sure from a legal and an ethical standpoint, you can actually utilize it for the scenarios that you want to use it for. But do your due diligence. Don't just take everything that AI provides to you and just assume that everything is correct or the truth. So do your own research and validation. But yeah, be number one, learn and be curious. You know, strive for opportunities where you can figure out how to become more adept and knowledgeable, and it's going to help you in the long run.
I love that. Keeping that word come up again. Be curious. You
Yeah,
know, you always want to be curious. You want to surround yourself with curious people as well. If you're not curious, you're not learning. If you're not learning, you're not growing. You know, and you will be left behind, unfortunately.
absolutely.
Thank you so much, Michael, for coming on here again. I really appreciate your time. I think this is more fun than the first one.
Yeah, exactly.
It's better every time. On three, well, I mean, I'm up if you're up for it.
Hey, just let me know. Let's just figure out a date and time.
Yeah, I am definitely down. Well, thank you again for giving us your time today, Michael. You have a good rest of your weekend.
Oh, you do the same, and thank you again for the opportunity.
You're very welcome. We will talk soon. Bye.